Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. All right, we're going to take a little left turn here in conversation this morning. I want to talk about stuff that's personal because for the longest time we've been talking about the entire country as what's going on with Hurricane Helene or the wildfires in Wyoming. We all know we have Hurricane Milton going to hit Florida tonight. And people will go, okay, I don't live in Wyoming. I don't live in Florida. I don't live in the Southeast. It's not affecting me. I'm here to tell you, you better plan on this affecting you. And it's going to hurt. You need to be prepared. We've talked about being prepared financially for a long time. But I want to give you this, and this is something that people really don't think about. With these hurricanes hitting, with the storm that hit Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, the other side of Florida, and now Milton coming in, the damage, as we all know, is devastating. Insurance companies are going to have to rebuild people's homes, pay them for cars lost, life insurance, et cetera, for people that lost their lives. God knows the medical is going to be ridiculous. And everybody kind of thinks that the insurance companies have a bottomless pit of money. They're not the government. They can't go print it. They got to come up with it somewhere. We don't know what the financial toll is from Helene yet. It's going to be huge. Milton is going to hit Florida tonight, somewhere around midnight. So these people have about 18 hours before they're going to get slammed. They've got about 12 hours before the wind fields and the rains start. But when the eye hits, will be around midnight. The devastation is going to be costly. Estimates right now are Milton, just hitting the Florida Peninsula, will be somewhere near $20 billion. That's what the damage is going to be. Is that going to be to houses? Is that going to be businesses? Is that going to be infrastructure, roads, airports, whatever? That's all got to get paid for. Whether it comes out of your pocket or whether you're insured for it. Now, I'm going to give you this. In the Biden presidency so far, home insurance rates have gone up about 20%. Since 2021, your home insurance has increased by 1/5. It is expected to increase another 6% this year. Okay, and mind you, we have 2.5 months left in the year. And we haven't even got into starting to pay out for Helene or the Elk Fire or Milton. This is going to be economically devastating to everybody because just because you live in Iowa doesn't mean that Allstate or State Farm or whoever is not going to raise your rates. They're going to. Then the other issue you get is consolidation in the industry. Could three disasters literally at the same time bankrupt insurance companies? Very much so. Could you wind up having an issue in Florida like you've had in California, where California's had insurance companies pull out altogether, saying we can't afford to insure houses here anymore. It's just not profitable. Remember, insurance companies are a for-profit business. They love collecting your premiums. They hate paying out. Okay, but they have to. They'll fight you to death to pay out, but eventually you'll get something. Won't rebuild your house. I mean, I'll give you a story here. This is a friend of mine. Okay, I know you always love those stories, right? But I was told this over the weekend. Lady's house burned down, and she had to go file an insurance claim. And so her house was a brick house with all her stuff in it, et cetera, et cetera. They wanted an inventory of everything in her house. Do you have an inventory of everything in your house? Probably not. Okay. Could you feasibly remember everything that you have in your house? Ain't no way in the world. Okay. They won't pay out until she gives a specific inventory of what she's got. It's not blanket coverage. They don't say your house is worth, you've got, $500,000 coverage on your house. And they don't go, oh, okay, here's a check for $500,000. No. They go, okay, what do you have and what's the market value of it? And that's what we'll pay you for. If you don't know you have it, or you can't tell them you have it, they don't pay you for it. To the point where she got asked, she says, I had a generator. And they're like, what kind? What's the serial number? Oh, or what's the model number? I think it was. Do you have that? Probably not. Okay. They'll rebuild her house. It won't be a brick house. That's too expensive. They'll pay what the value of the old house was, and then whatever the money that they say the old house was worth, that's what they'll give her. So yeah, now you go from having a brick house to, because of the cost of everything, having, aluminum siding or something. This is the deal. You guys know this in a car, okay? Your car gets totaled. You spent $30,000 on a car. You still owe $25,000 on the car, but as soon as you drive it off the lot, the insurance company says it's worth $20,000, so you may have driven the car for 500 feet, totaled the car, and the insurance company says, here's 20 grand, and you still have to pay the rest of it because it didn't buy you the same car. This is what we're looking at. This is the financial devastation. People are going to get destroyed with this. Obviously, the people in the Southeast, the people in Florida, whoever it affects in Wyoming, they're going to have to rebuild. In a roundabout way, we're all going to pay for it because our insurance premiums are going to go up. Like I said, if the insurance companies bail out, then you have less competition, less insurance companies. If companies say we can't afford to do business in Florida anymore, then the other companies have to raise their rates even more because they have less customers to pay the insurance. Then, of course, we have the election coming up. And let's add this one. If we get Kamala Harris in here, well, she wants massive tax hikes. We're going to tax the rich, which basically means anybody that's not on welfare. Okay, we're going to increase taxes on who they really consider rich as anybody who has an income. With all their policies, of course, we get inflation like crazy, and they can run from it all they want, but it's all their spending policies and everything that's caused this 20+% inflation that we've seen over the course of their presidency or their administration. And let's not even get into all their wealth redistribution schemes, because we have to do everything in the way of equity. Oh, gee, this person looks different than you, so we're going to can you imagine filling out your tax forms at the end of the year and going, oh, well, this is the tax rate for whites, and this is the tax rate for Asians, and this is the tax rate for Hispanics, and this is the tax rate for blacks. Oh, here's your you're a woman deduction. That's the kind of crap that we're going to get with Kamala Harris. It's going to crush the American people. I mean, in every literal way possible. The insurance, the cost of goods, the cost of housing, the cost of food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We need to prepare for this. You need to have stuff put back, money put back. And again, you're going to hear my thoughts on this. I'm going to implore everybody to have something in the way of gold and silver, because gold and silver will protect you from runaway inflation. Y'all know the story that you could buy a men's suit in 1925 for an ounce of gold. And in 2025, you're going to be able to buy a suit for an ounce of gold. Same freaking ounce of gold. But the difference is it's $20 or $2,000. Talking a good suit, okay? Or a car. You can go through the same thing, go 1925, 1965, 2025, and the same amount of gold will buy you a car. It's just how it works. Silver's pulled back here a little bit. It's in $30 and change. I'd advise getting some. Silver's got a long way to go up. Gold obviously is still fluctuating around all-time highs. Is it going to go higher? Yeah. I mean, and people say, well, you don't want to buy at the top. Well, it's the same thing that people were saying that at 2000, it's like, oh my God, we broke 2000 and, it's not going any further. Gold's in the 26s now. Okay. So yeah, you missed a 30% upside. As I've said this for a couple of years, you might want to pay attention to the fact that gold and silver have outperformed the stock market in the Biden presidency. Where do we hear that? What did I do a couple of years ago? Pay attention. Sometimes I know a couple of things about finance. But this is what we have to look forward to. This is what we're going to face, is political economic collapse, but also economic collapse that you can't blame anybody for. Before you get into the weather manipulation, I'm not going there, okay? Like I've said many times, the right's going to say it's weather manipulation, the left's going to say it's climate change. I don't care what the freaking reason is, it hit, all right? We got to come out the other side. But you're going to have all these people that are going to lose everything. Their homes, their businesses, their cars, family members, and it's devastating for them. And we all try to help them. But the thing is this, you can't help anybody unless you've got your own house squared away. Take care of yourself. Watch the economic consequences of all of this. Lucky Donald Trump, he left the presidency just as a COVID disaster comes in, and hopefully he's going back into the presidency. But what does he get to start with? He gets to start with the rebuilding of about a fifth of the United States and has to figure that out. Somehow, Kamala Harris came out yesterday and tried to blame the hurricanes on Trump. That was classic. Tells you how brain dead this woman is. But we have to do this. We cannot count on anybody to help us. The insurance companies are going to run out of money. The government's already told you they've run out of money. What happens when you lose something and your insurance company says, sorry, we're not paying you for it? The government says, sorry, we can't help you with that. Maybe your neighbors can come in. Maybe the family here can come in and help. But honestly, if somebody here loses a house, we raised $300,000. That's awesome. That would rebuild one house if we gave everything to one person. I want you to think about your personal situation. You got all the food, you've got all the water, you've got all the gadgets, the gear, the gizmos, whatever. But do you have your financial house in order? Get yourself out of debt. Build up savings as fast as you can, because we could be 3 months, God forbid the cackling hen wins, 3 months from economic chaos. If they win and start implementing some of these communist ideals they have, that's what you got to look for. Communism is a race to the bottom. We all get equity. Everybody's equally poor. Very poor, okay? If you plan on standing in line, waiting for a loaf of bread, waiting for a pound of butter, waiting for a chicken, vote for Kamala Harris and don't do anything. Expect the government to take care of you, cradle to grave. If you have an iota of independence in you, throw this witch to the curb and let's get our country back. Pinball out.